Hi, everybody. This is Melissa Klein, and I just wanted to kind of walk you through the setup that I have here at home. And it occurred to me, I was like, oh, there's my vacuum cleaner in the background. And just talking about, and I'm filming at night, which is not ideal. I would have preferred to have done this in the day, but sometimes you just have a day like that. And this is the time to do it in this day. And what I've done here is I snipped a couple branches from Bob's tree, who had given me the cherries, and I came back and I was like, "Hey," and he said, "Sure," but most of the cherries are gone. Like, and it was true. I looked up at this tree, and it was last week is this gorgeous, like, fully fruited tree, and this week it was like most of the cherries were either had holes in them from the birds or were moldy or just sort of wilted. But I did find a couple of little nubbins that I could cut off. And what's happened is they've just kind of gotten wilty, even though I've, stuck them in water and soaked them in water. But that's just life. And initially I was thinking like, oh, how can I, enhance this and, make this like look cool. And but then I just decided I really liked it like this because, we've all seen still lifes of these like, beautiful whatever, just beautiful fruits and stuff, and they don't make much to me. I love them, but they don't always make that much of a statement for me. And I was kind of excited when I sort of realized, like, here you have this, like, almost overripe fruit and these very wilted leaves that just are not coming back. And, I started to think, of course, about there's so many metaphors, with Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden and sort of fruit and temptation and fruit and sex. Yes, I said it. Sorry, guys. Um, and um, and of course, the Dutch masters also did all these paintings that showed uh, rotting fruit, or a combination of fruit that was in full bloom as well as fruit that was rotting. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Like, this to me is actually more interesting than what I originally planned, and so I'm feeling kind of excited to do this. A couple notes on the technical notes on the shading. Right now, these cherries are looking black, and part of that is simply that I'm working under artificial light, and that's kind of dulling things down. But they truly are, as I'm comparing the real life cherry to the what I'm seeing on my screen on my phone, they're pretty close. Uh, Sometimes you need to lie a little bit in art, not in life. In life, you need to be completely honest, but in art, you can lie a little bit to tell your story better. And so, what I wanted to do is show you like how you can kind of. I'm just gonna hit on my phone the part of the screen where it's like the darkest cherry, and notice how everything lightened up in reference to that. And then I'm gonna hit the leaf, and notice how that darkened around. So, think about how you might be your own camera in terms of how you adjust things. Also, as you can tell, the background with the Kleenex box, not exactly exciting. Although I do kind of like the background with the very dark thing. Like, you guys were like, oh, we thought we were taking a right. No, you're not taking a normal art class with me. No, not doing no. We don't want that anyway. Most of you know me too well to expect that from me. Um, and then last but not least, I just kind of wanted to walk you through what I'm using. I decided to just go for more pure watercolors because I'm going to be laying a lot of transparencies on here. Um, and I just thought that would be, I tend not to do that, so that would be a fun thing. This would also be a really lovely thing to do with colored inks or some sort of mixture of it. Um, and then the brushes I got out were mostly sort of smaller liner brushes because this is a pretty small. I think it's an 8 inch by 8 inch by 8 inch square. It's a watercolor block. I like it a lot actually. Wouldn't mind getting more of these. So fluid watercolor paper is pretty close to the Canson, I would say. Um, nice big bucket of water. I know that's really basic, but a lot of times people will put like water in a tiny little cup, and that's not that's gonna be really hard to keep your colors clean like that. And then of course like this just you know I've noticed I've reached this point where I just sort of critical mass with brushes where like I just have all these cups kind of hanging around doing that. This is also really nice. This is a ceramic plate. You could use regular ceramic plate from the thrift store, but this is made to sort of like divide up your um, paints, and it cleans off really beautifully. And I've got a little bit of Pro White hanging out there that actually was from the last project. Occurs to me you might be able to find like a ceramic baby plate for far less. Somebody donated this to me, but I think that I'm pretty sure they're pretty expensive. I'm not sure because I don't know because they gave it to me. And spray bottle. So, and of course, pencils because I'm going to start out with a pencil drawing. All right, wish me luck. We'll go from there. Thank you. Melissa Klein here, and I just wanted to make a couple notes on the drawing of this. I know that this is obviously a class about shading, but you can run, you can hide, drawing still happens, and just about how to go about putting things in space. Now, one of the things about this is that this form of the cherry is very similar to the apple. So I'm gonna suggest, and I was really pleased with what you guys did, what I've seen so far of your apple drawings, and so I wanted to kind of walk you through. It seems like that works, so we're gonna keep doing that. Hey, imagine that where something works and we're gonna keep doing it. So weird. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just slightly pencil sketching it in. Now, what's tricky is that when you're going to paint something, a lot of times it's like, ooh, you don't want to do too much of a drawing on there, especially if it's watercolor, because it's going to interfere with the watercolor. But you also, I find, like, I don't want to, like, do too little, or it's going to not... you're not going to be sure where to go. The other thing that I want to point out is that the way this stem is working is that it's like coming out, it looks like, depending on how you draw it. So I want you to be really paying attention to this concept in general, but I've got this one stem that looks like if it's coming out of the cherry. And I'm like, you're not coming out of the cherry. And it's like, yes, I am. And I'm like, no, you're not. And this stem just wants to like look like it's, if you've ever had those family vacation photos where like all of a sudden looks like Uncle Ernie is growing out of, little Susie's head or something like that. This is that effect. So to get things to go back a little bit, is first off, I'm going to make sure that even though this is a big, dark, ugly stem, I'm like, you will fade off into the distance a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little bit fainter. And of course, the form of the cherry is so bold that I'm not too worried about it. And then there's yet another cherry behind it. You still want to think about how this little stem kind of goes in, and then the form comes out. It's like bubbling out of there. I really wanted to have these cherries be in this as I was drawing this, but because of the light and shadow, it just was not happening. But you get the idea of like how it bubbles out. Okay, so and then of course the fabulous wilted leaves that are just, I'm moving them around a little bit to I'm totally outlining to make them different. I'm not putting in the awful Kleenex box or my vacuum cleaner in the background. But I do like how this stem just kind of pops up and then kind of, it's just like it's kind of going up and then it's like a waterfall kind of goes back. And so looking also at the gesture of how these leaves and these fruits go. Let's make still life exciting, because it really can be. It really has the possibility and has a real, I think there's really room to explore very creative expressions with it. And of course there's the beauty and sensuality of it, but also the dark side. Come to the dark side with the dark cherries. All right. So that's just a little quick note on how I'm going to go. And then we're going to go into a time-lapse video where I work very hard and then you watch for like 3 minutes. What took me like an hour to do or more. All right. Thanks so much.